بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. الحمد لله والصلاة والسلام على رسول الله وعلى آله وصحبه ومولاه. السلام عليكم ورحمة الله. We continue inshallah ta'ala with our program bi'idhnillah, and the goal and the aim is to memorize the Qur'an inshallah. However slow we might start or we continue, the intention is very important. Intention is what Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala wants to see to be correct, followed by the effort that you put forth. The results, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will extend the full reward for the results. Bi'idni, the most generous. Should we memorize the Qur'an before we leave this world or we don't? The reward is there for as long as the intention is intact and the effort is consistent. However much you do, the consistency is key. And with that, reminder again of how, if you look at the layout of the Qur'an, Surah Al-Fatiha is the very first surah. Surah Al-Nas and Al-Falaq, the last two, 13 and 14. The meaning or the theme, the major theme in Surah Al-Fatiha is seeking guidance. Ihdina as-sirat al-mustaqim, guidance. Surah Al-Nas and Al-Falaq, the last two surahs, the main theme is seeking Allah Ta'ala's protection. With guidance and protection, everything in the middle comes to being easy to adhere to and to implement. Meaning that all of the legislations that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala sent, as detailed as they are, they come easy with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala's guidance and with His protection. Because with His guidance, you know what to do. But then again, knowing what to do and doing it are whole two different things. You have to have Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala's guidance alongside with His protection from deterrence. And the many factors to deter you and discourage you and stop you from happening is what Allah Ta'ala mentioned at the end. قُلْ أَعُوذُ بِرَبِّ الْفَلَقِ قُلْ أَعُوذُ بِرَبِّ النَّاسِ. And everything that Allah Ta'ala listed that are deterrents, they will stop you. That is the devil from mankind, from amongst mankind, and jinn collectively, to where the attack of a shaitan fi suduri nas, towards the chest of the sons of Adam, meaning towards your heart. That's where your intellectual decisions are made. This is where all of your intention is taking place. A shaitan directs his attack towards where the decisions are being made. Because once the decisions are, we call them also perceptions, are formulated, then all it takes is for a person to act those perceptions out, hence the behavior. So if our intention is good, then the behavior will follow. And if it is the other way, then it will also follow. But sometimes you have, in this case, even if you have the intention is intact towards wanting to memorize the Quran, towards being a righteous person and putting it to work, that's where the shaitan comes in and attacks those decisions before they are acted upon. Meaning, this is where you find sadness as one of formulas a shaitan comes and casts in the heart. Worries as one of those, and you have all roller coaster of emotions, confusions, doubts, and these are all to cloud your perceptions, so that when you don't really have the energy to really even act them out. But with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala's protection from the attacks of a shaitan and the deterrence from either the devils, from either mankind or jinn, then you are free to act upon ihdina as-sirat al-mustaqim, the guidance Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said. So ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to grant us that consistency and the understanding of how beneficial it is to start off with the first things first. Revisit your intention with Allah ta'ala. Follow it with humble, urgent, and desperate supplications that this is what you want. You wanted to memorize the Qur'an. Everything else is history from that point. How it's going to happen, the pace and all, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will make it happen sooner or later. وَالَّذِينَ جَاهَدُوا فِينَا لَنَهْدِيَنَّهُمْ سُبُلَنَا. Anyone who strives to set the tone for righteousness and for lofty goals to be achieved, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala would pave the way for that to happen for them. لَنَهْدِيَنَّهُمْ سُبُلَنَا. For a surety will pave the way for them to achieve those goals. And the loftiest goal a person could ever seek to achieve is memorizing the book of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, the book of guidance, the book of peace, the book of serenity, the book of felicity. All of it is in the words of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and the guidance and the nur that comes with it. So inshallah ta'ala we'll continue with the same pattern that we have started in a practical sense, is for us to go one by one inshallah ta'ala and revisit our recitations. And then the minute we finish every surah you finish, we move to the next and the next at your own pace inshallah ta'ala, for as long as we seek. The goal is for us to perfect the pronunciation of every word of Allah. Why is that important? Because when it comes to words, they're vehicles to meanings. They deliver meanings. And if a word is distorted, is going to deliver either the wrong meaning or a completely distorted meaning away from what Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala meant for you to understand and absorb from what the ayah is saying or what that word means. And it may very well take literally just mispronunciation of here's the word, all of it is good, but a mispronunciation of just tiny area will throw the whole meaning off. And especially Arabic. Arabic is a very hypersensitive language, extremely sensitive. Why? Because hypersensitivity of the Arabic language is not a negative thing. It is what makes the language very rich. It may very well be that the exact same letters of a word, they will, if you mispronounce them with, for instance, with a vowel that is a versus I, it will give you a whole different meaning. Although the root words at the exact 3 letters, for instance, rabiha, baraha, haraba, all of these, and these are all the exact same root letters, but then again, you can formulate tons of words from the exact same 3 letters. And this is why it is important to, inshallah, and with all of the effort you put in, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will reward you tremendously for each and every effort you put in doing so, especially when the Prophet ﷺ made mention of that when he says that those who have the Qur'an easy for them to memorize because they have the language down, they will memorize the Qur'an and will be fluent in recitation. They will be in the company of al-kiram al-barara, the honored and the pure, meaning the angels. Comes a day of judgment. As for those who make the effort to memorize the Qur'an, وَهُوَ عَلَيْهِ شَاقٍ, and it's very difficult for that person to read the words and the letters of the Qur'an. وَيَتَتَعْتَعُ فِي, and stutters and have really difficulty just getting those letters out and those words out. The Prophet ﷺ says, فَلَهُ أَجْران, that person is receiving double the reward. The reward for the intention and the effort you put in towards memorizing the Book of Allah, but also the reward of the difficulty that you're enduring to achieving that goal. That twice the reward. So let not those difficulties be a discouragement, but rather it's an honor from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and an effort that is worth putting, inshaAllah ta'ala, in that regard. Ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to pave the way and make our tongues loose to where we pronounce the words and the ayat the way they should, and for us to achieve that goal. And small gains are great gains. One ayah a week is better than no ayah at all that week. One ayah a week is better. And before you know it, alhamdulillah, accumulation of ayat with consistency, you will be reaching the goal of memorizing, inshallah ta'ala. Inshallah, our goal is, if we can, do juz amma before Ramadan, or at least halfway there, inshallah. At least halfway there, bi'idhnillah ta'ala. So ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to bless you and make this journey easy for you. Wa sallallahu alaihi wa sallam ala Nabi Muhammad walhamdulillah rabbil alamin.